After a long wait, NFTs have now reached the fame of Bruce Almighty. Jim Carrey has recently purchased his first NFT, which is Devotion, by Ryan Koopmans and Alice WEXELL. The description for the work is, gently capturing nature's exquisite and relentless reinvention. This work is a historic one. It was inspired by a visit to Tskaltubo, a town in Georgia. This town had once been a popular health destination with luxurious sanatoriums and therapeutic water. Because of political events, there were no people to maintain the buildings, causing them to fall into disrepair. This led to the demolition of many buildings in the 90s. The construction of new buildings is in turn leading the demolition of these older buildings. The website describes the NFTs as a surreal collision between the past and future, as well as the physical and digital worlds. So if you want to know more about this NFT, then this video is for you. For today's video, exclusive for NFT Nuggets members, we are going to talk about the artist who made this Tskaltubo NFT artwork and the artist itself. The latest celebrity to buy digital art with cryptocurrencies is Jim Carrey. He has an interest in Soviet Union after buying a piece of art that had ties to it. As the highest bidder, Carrey, 60, paid 20 ETH, which equates to 39,535 for an NFT titled Devotion. The work is one of the Wild Within series that consists of 13 NFTs in total. It is made by artists Ryan Koopmans and Alice WEXELL, who capture abandoned buildings from the USSR. This image captures the remains of a Soviet-era sanatorium in Georgia. The building served as a health retreat with therapeutic waters, but it had to close due to political turmoil and competition. In a Twitter post, Jim Carrey wrote, "This one stops me. James Joyce said that's a good thing. Thank you at Ryan Koopmans for gently capturing nature's exquisite and relentless reinvention. By the way, you're my first NFT." The Canadian-Dutch artist Koopmans told the Post of his excitement to learn that Carrey was the one that purchased his piece. Koopmans revealed how honored he was to find out that Jim Carrey collected his work. Jim Carrey is an awesome painter, illustrator, and artist in his own right, described Koopmans, who has had an autograph from the actor for over 30 years. It's fun that someone who champions artistic creativity, positivity, and mindfulness connected with the work that Alice and I created over several years. The former resort, according to the description of the article, has a history of having many people visit, including Stalin and his high-ranking officials from Moscow. When the Soviet Union collapsed, the buildings were deserted and fell into disrepair. Since the early 1990s, the buildings have been slowly dismantled. Some of these materials were taken and used for other buildings, leaving empty shells of what were once grandiose classical structures. Koopmans has been visiting and photographing the region for several years, and with WEXELL, they took these photographs and digitally transformed them. By manipulating the lighting and structures of the photos, adding sound by Eric Thom, and animating the scenes, Koopman's goal was to revive the photo. The goal, according to the Koopmans, was essentially bringing life back into the rooms. Soon after the comedian purchased his first high-value digital asset, he purchased another NFT titled Nuclear Taco Trucks. So what is this Tskaltubo all about? After the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, the destination town of Tskaltubo fell off the map. It previously attracted elites of the Communist Party, including Stalin and others, who flocked to get natural springs. Now the town is a collection of hotels and bathhouses that are decaying, which were once ornamental havens for health. But 30 years after the resort town's closure, photographs of these abandoned buildings are attracting new travelers. For Georgians, Tskaltubo represents a chapter of history best left in the past. For Dutch-Canadian photographer Ryan Koopmans, It is an enchanting playground of contrasts and a destination where everything isn't quite as old as it appears. KOOPMANS has visited the town 7 times since 2015 in a project to document the dwindling elegance of the town and the Abkhazian people who have sought refuge inside hotels since being internally displaced during the Abkhaz-Georgian conflict of 1992. He collaborated most recently with Swedish artist Alice WEXELL to create The Wild Within, a mixed media art project that showcases the town of abandoned Tskaltubo. The Wild Within will help you to feel like you are there through animated collages. Though Tskaltubo revitalization is still uncertain, KOOPMAN's photographs are inspiring more people to visit this time capsule of a city for themselves. Aspiring urban explorers can find Tskaltubo geotag on Instagram and continue to follow those who post exploration updates. We spoke with KOOPMANS to learn more about what it's like to visit this hard-to-reach place and what is drawing a new era of travelers there today. Some of Tskaltubo's buildings have been damaged during the past 3 decades of neglect. They have become shelters for people who lived there after the war. The Georgian government recently began to see its potential for tourism and began developing a plan to invest in it and make traveling there easier for travelers looking for a nice place to visit. In 2012, World Bank reported that Tskaltubo's infrastructures was planned to be improved. The sanatoriums are privately owned, which leaves individual building owners to take control of any updating. Locals say many buildings were purchased in 2017, and they remain unchanged. The city's sanatoriums and hotels were places of healing, relaxation, and entertainment, attracting tens and thousands of visitors across the Soviet Union between the 1960s and 80s. The town was the favored destination of the Georgian-born Stalin and the communist elite. Being favored by Stalin, Georgia was positioned as a leisure destination in the Soviet Union, but Tskaltubo was known for its legendary healing waters long before that. Tourists are flocking to the Tskaltubo area to drink the high radon water, which is said to decrease inflammation. The issue of its healing powers have been long debated and spread through the legends of those who have found relief in the springs themselves. Tskaltubo had visits from both the elites and military to help them heal, as well as citizens. Citizens would come for a state-sanctioned vacation, in which they were asked to take time to rest and think about socialist ideals. The way the buildings were designed shows the different ideologies of the people who live there. For example, each building has pictures of things representing what it would have been like to live in that time, like people harvesting grapes. This represents the Georgian style. Symbols also represent ideologies of the time, like when you see a hammer and sickle, representing a communist state's vacation policies. Photographer KOOPMANS describes the layout of Tskaltubo as an amusement park, with an overgrown center that was once manicured. There are over 20 abandoned buildings that were once used for various purposes. He explores bathhouse number 8, which is particularly dramatic because it has a single tree growing through the roof. As long as the building is technically owned by someone else, visitors to Alanya are free to enter and explore them. In fact, urban exploring is encouraged by the town's tourism office. The hotel media and 2 floors of Sanatorium Iveria are examples of captivating buildings in Baku. Although one building is barely preserved and one building was almost looted, the most impressive buildings have a lot of detail, like a red velvet theater curtain on the hotel Shakhtyori. These are in contrast to Stalin's private compound, which has been badly looted as it focused around small buildings rather than one big one. Agricultural buildings are being used for multiple purposes by different people. Some have been stripped of their meals and others use buildings to house animals. One used to be able to take the train to Tskaltubo, but now that the train no longer goes there, people must rent a car or arrange transportation with a tour guide. And while they can be left completely open, most sanitariums are lived in by the Abkhazian population. Koopman calls it a weirdly public realm and recommends caution and quick check-in at the tourist office in town, which can offer advice about conditions. The sanatoriums, he says, are sound structures, although visitors should be wary of falling tiles and plaster. When exploring, it is important to respect the people who have called these sanatoriums their homes for over 20 years. Although the government has rehoused many of the Abkhazians into more livable housing in the area, there are still about 60 families who have been living in these hotels from generation to generation. Koopman says that the architecture and fixtures at their buildings are a point of education for both visitors and donors. They don't allow people to touch or wander without an escort. It would be nice if they could play basketball with these things, but they can't, he says of their pieces. Tskaltubo seems to be in a never-ending past era, but Koopman says it is in the process of disappearing. Tourists come to see this place because it's fascinating, but most Georgians don't want tourists there. There are things in Tskaltubo that are interesting to the outsider but not to locals. Those who never experienced the Soviet Union hold a bad association with the country. They are not interested in the architectural significance of buildings and just want to take pictures. Given another 30 years, Koopman expects the buildings to continue deteriorating without interruption on a site that has been saved from generations of hands. Of course, you can go to an ancient city and it can be impressive, but you can't help but acknowledge the fact that it's been restored and prepared for your visit, he says. With this, there's a sense of rediscovery which is exciting. So just who is this Ryan Koopmans? Ryan Koopmans is a Dutch-Canadian lens-based artist with an interest in the built environment and the societies that are shaped by those environments. Born in Amsterdam in the year 1986, he was raised in Vancouver Island in the British Columbia, Canada. He completed his undergraduate education at UBC in Vancouver and in 2012 received a Master's of Fine Art in Photography, Video and Related Media at the School of Visual Arts in New York City. Ryan majored in 3 subjects: geography, art history, and psychology. Those studies form the basis for his interest in architecture, and he explores communities as they relate to their surroundings through architectural design. Koopmans primarily photographs surreal structures in our world's megacities and urban landscapes. The formal qualities in their geometry, repetition, and saturation help him illustrate what he terms the poetry of form in interesting locations. In essence, his work documents the points of intersection where the natural and man-made converge. He credits this to his upbringing in the West Coast, where distances are vast. This can be seen when he photographs from a removed perspective, embracing a large sense of scale. Koopmans is currently based in Stockholm, Sweden, where the majority of the year he travels around the world for his photography and video projects. There you have our NFT Nugget video for today. So, what do you think about the NFT artwork? Are you willing to buy one too? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and like this video. If you think that we have delivered value, please share this video with one person. Just one share is enough for us, for you to show your appreciation for the commitment and hard work we all put together in creating this video that teaches and helps you on your mission of building your own fortune. And you don't know that one share could go a long way. Keep in mind that no matter how many times you're going to watch this video, you won't see any results unless you take action. Goodbye and see you in the next one.